Hi, Lee here. I'm going to be finishing off this Squier today by fitting the Bigsby onto this. So what we need to do is we need to measure up and we'll try and get that fitted, and then we'll give it a test later on to see what it sounds like. Just to cover what we've already done, so I replaced the machine heads with some newer ones, locking machine heads, much better. I polished the frets and they're all very good. The fretboard's level, it plays really well. I've also replaced the pickups as well, so hopefully these pickups should sound a lot better. Then we're going to move on to this. So what I'll do is I'll start doing some measuring. I've already measured up quite a bit, but just for your benefit I'll show you what I'm doing, just so if anyone wants to copy me they can sort of follow along. So of course fenders are a 25.5 inch scale length, and I've already put some markers on here, and obviously I've got a visual guide by looking at where the bridge is currently. But just as the example, if I measure that up, 25.5 is spot on there, so I can already see it. What I would usually do, I've already made the marks, but I can just mark there. And I'll mark there. And then hopefully that should give us a start. I'm just going to draw around the existing bridge just so I've got some square markers. And then what I'll do is I'll remove this and we'll go and try and line up the new one. And we have to make some marks because we need to drill 10mm hole into the body. So it's quite important we get this bit right now. What I'll do is I'll also remove this pickup now so we can completely get rid of this older bridge. I will drill the holes into the guitar body and then we'll put these in. But before I do that, the drill bit, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just put a piece of tape around this so I know how deep I need to go into the body. So if I take a look at this, $20mm. So as you can see, I've drilled the holes now. I've put one in already. I'm just going to put the second one in, and then hopefully we can start to build this and put this back together. So I've got it here. When you tap these in, it's best to use a small block. So make sure you use a block of wood on it. Don't hit directly on to the metal. I'm just using a user guide. Okay, so with a little fettling I managed to get them in. The hole just wasn't quite big enough, so I had to drill in again, make it a little deeper, because what I've found is this new bridge sits quite high, so I wanted to make sure I could get the action low enough. So what I've done is I've drilled it in more. I've sunk the bridge a little bit more into there. And what I was doing is I was just getting an old string just to give me a rough guide to make sure that it can go low enough. So when I look here, that looks pretty low, and I've still got a millimetre or so to play with on the bridge. So that's something to realise. On the Telecaster, this kit I've bought, well, it has to be as low as possible to get the action low enough. So I can't really adjust it up. I'll have to adjust, it's already at the very bottom, and I'll adjust each individual barrel and make it a little bit lower just to get the action perfect on here. But that's for later on. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to line up these holes and drill the holes into the body for the bridge plate. There are some other holes that are still visible. I haven't decided if I'm going to fill the old bridge holes. So that could be something I could do. Maybe I could... I don't know. I'll have a look. If I want to fill those, I can always fill those another day. But what I'll do is I'll take all of this apart now, mark up the holes correctly, make sure the pickup is in this new bridge plate, and then I'll drill some pilot holes and mount this bridge plate. So it should be ready, and then we can start working on the actual Bigsby itself. Because of the old holes, I'm going to have to mount this plate a little bit further forward. So hopefully I can do that instead. So it will look a bit odd without the bridge on, but I'm hoping the bridge will cover most of that. Right, so what I'm doing is I'm going to use this very small drill bit just to drill a pilot hole for the screws to go in. So that's what I'll do next. Now what I'll do is I'll start to line up the Bigsby, and we'll see if we can screw this in and get it straight. It's very important to get this straight. There's actually a piece of string that comes with it that you can use to put along to make sure it's bolted on correctly. I'm going to do some measurements now and then try and line it up, make some pilot holes again and drill it in, and hopefully that should then be it for this. I don't know if you can see this, but to get the Bigsby set up correctly, I've run a very thin piece of thread all the way down the neck, around the first pin in the 6th pin on the Bigsby, and then back underneath and all the way back up. So what you can then do is you can start to move the Bigsby to get it centered correctly and make sure the strings clear the back of the bridge. If the strings don't clear the back of the bridge, just move the Bigsby back a little bit. So you can move it back and forth until you get it correct. Now I actually quite like it right at the back of the guitar, so I'm actually going to put it at the back of the guitar, line it up. I will then put some pilot holes just into the guitar body, realign it, and then screw the Bigsby in, and that should be it complete. We should be ready then to string up. We'll adjust the height of the pickups, but everything should be good, and hopefully we can then give it a test. So there we have it. The new bridge has been put on with the bridge plate. The Bigsby's been lined up and is on. Everything looks good. So now it's time to string it and then we can test it out. I hope you've enjoyed watching this series. Look out for the next video where we can listen to it, see what the pickups sound like, make sure the Bigsby works correctly. So let's test it. Thank you very much.